More than 100 million non-professional rockets have flown since 1960.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop.
Something flew off. Something flew off. And it's coming down real fast.
Yes, it sounds like an
Meet the people.
I'm experimenting with a technique of making the airframe stronger for cardboard. In other words, we hope we'll eventually get this going at Mach 1 without falling apart.
We fly these rockets.
2, 1, launching. Good, clear. Ready. Good, good. Perfect. Good flag. I like it. I think she did too. All right.
Don't try this at home.
All that work for nothing! Ah! Ah!
Dad, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Here, you missed a piece.
Oh. Go get the trash bag.
My name's Dana Gass, and I'm with the AeroPack Group. And what we did is sit down from scratch and try to build a new launch console to make it easy for everybody. Something anybody could pick up and set up, run with it. Anybody can walk up to it and play launch control officer and be able to operate it. And what we came up with is we decided we wanted to have, so at the first row, say 200 feet, we want to have 10 pads. And what we have is row 1 here is for pads 1 through 10. And then you can run another row further out, say 500 feet or wherever you want, and that becomes your next row of pads. That's 11 through 20, and then you can run out to 1,500 feet if you want for a third row, which would be 21 through 30.
To cover motors all the way through.
All the way through. That'd take us up through a P motor, wouldn't it?
Close to it. In motor at least.
So what we built in here is a system where the officer can power it up with the key. This kills everything, makes it safe, so you walk away, takes that out, nothing can happen. That's powered down.
Don't lose the key.
We have a spare.
Yeah.
But you start, you power that up, pick the pad that you want, let's say pad number 1, and he gets a feedback here. This is just a flashing light. It's a gentle reminder that you've got something armed. It's not a loud, nasty beeper that grates on your nerves after a long day.
But you can't hear it out in the field.
Well, now that's a beeper that's out in the distribution box out there to tell the people on that launch line that something's wrong. But anyway, whatever pad you arm on this first group, the beeper in that row is going to sound like that slow pulse.
Yeah. Those are
real high power LEDs that's in a circuit board right behind here. They're about 20,000 millicandelas, real powerful. And this is a reverse engraved piece of plastic you get from the engraving shops.
Mm-hmm.
It's a piece of clear plastic with a thin layer of black that they reverse engrave and put your numbers in it. But anyway, anything that's armed on the first row will set off the beeper that's out on that same first row that tells you've got something going on out there. Now, if you'll notice, let's say we had a row number 2 over here. If you arm something in here, you'll hear a relay pick up.
Yeah.
Now, you're not hearing a beeper because we don't have a row hooked up yet, but if it was, say, the next one out, there'd be a beeper in that row from that little distribution box that says something's going on that row. Now, what happens, as well as that warning that you get when you arm a pad, is in each little relay box, there's a really loud continuous tone piezo beeper that beeps as soon as you push the fire button. When the little relay picks up, that means there's power on those output terminals on the igniter lead, so it's a continuous tone. And that means, boy, don't ever hook that to that rocket because it's adios. Bad news. Now, you can probably hear that from here. Let's do pad 5.
Yeah, you get it.
Okay, you hear the beeper?
Yeah.
Now listen for the continuous tone.
Yep.
Right. We also have another feature that's pretty handy here is the panic button. Say the wind blows a pad over, you just hit that. Everything is dead. You don't have to worry, oh God, what do I do now? Where's the switch? Where's the switch?
It's dead
just
here,
pop
it's
it.
dead out there.
It's a big mushroom head that's a turn to unlock. Now you're back ready to go. The fire buttons are a recessed guard, so if you lean against it, nothing's going to happen. It's recessed about a 1/4 inch and it's about a 3/8 inch throw. It's a real deep, hard, deliberate throw to get it to light.
Human factors design.
Human factors is right.
Same
And
with
this is
one.
a remote button that lets the operator push his own button without crowding your space.
The LCO can be here, and then the person that wants to launch his individual rocket
Has his own button.
can be approximately 10 feet away.
We just completed our 300-foot walk.
Anybody wants to donate a stool, chair?
As you get closer, you can hear the beeper in that box. It tells you something's armed on that first row right here. And what you've got here is this is where it fans out from controls for all 10. It splits off and it's all labeled 1 through 5.
On one
And the
side.
cables are labeled here. It tells you pad 1, 100 feet, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all spread out 20 feet apart.
So the pad number's on the first one, and then the second number has
Right.
it. Okay.
These are all labeled over here.
Whoa.
It gets your attention.
Loud. It's got to be at least 90 dB or better.
So what that gave you here is it gave you 20 feet between each pad, which sounded like a lot on paper, but you know, it's just about right.
Yeah.
You want some room so you're not jabbing somebody with your rocket. And over here is the relay box itself. And what that does is it takes power here from your battery, which you want local to reduce your drop. You want your battery as close to the igniter as you can. Comes in here. There's a relay inside that's picked up by that console. But the power from the battery goes through that relay and outputs here on these terminals to the igniters.
A lot of forethought went into this whole thing, didn't it? How many man hours, Dana?
I lost count at 300. I gave up.
No, it's
So
really
much
great.
time.
It's one of the most efficient ones I've ever seen.
We are right at $2,500 worth of materials, you know, for the whole package, as you see.
Not counting labor.
Right, nothing for labor on that at all. And that's a pretty good price. We got some good quantity breaks at that particular point that probably cut that down from about $3,800.
Okay, well, I'd just like to give you my personal thanks and say job well done.
Bill.
Great, great job.
All right, let's
Thank you, Dana.
exercise a little bit.
Hi, I'm Kyle Shurge. Wouldn't it be great to walk on the surface of the moon? There's a group of hobbyists that build and fly their own rockets, and every year these rockets get bigger and bigger. Perhaps someday we'll be launching rockets big enough to get us to the moon. Coyote Wells launch site is about a 2-hour drive from San Diego, or 5 hours from Los Angeles. It's very near the Mexican border. only about 2 miles or so away. You could easily launch a rocket into Mexico from that launch site. Down Coyote Road number 2, you'll find a launch site filled with pebbles and some shrubbery. More vegetation than any of the other launch sites that you'll see on this video. TSDRL number 7 stands for Tripoli San Diego Rocket Launch number 7.
All right, it's a 2-stage rocket with a Super 8 movie camera in the payload section. The booster is powered by a Aerotech I-140. The upper stage is powered by Aerotech I-95. And it comes down in 3 pieces.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In stage.
Oh, shit. What's that called? Is that the rocket?
Yeah, that must be the booster over there. So the upper stage should be around here somewhere. Oh, I bet it ruined the motor too. Every piece of film is broken
Into pieces.
Not that long.
Really impacted hard.
Yeah, very hard. And everything was right there in the hole.
Yeah, no spread at all, huh?
Yeah, there was just a very
low.
minimal spread.
Wow.
God, it looks like it. Really drilled in. Yeah, you can hear it clear here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any clue to what happened in this part?
This was the problem, was the flash bulb did not ignite for some reason, and so it didn't ignite the fuse to the upper stage motor.
Did you check the flash bulb with an ohm meter?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's an H-120 fire starter.
Oh, right.
I'm Jim Dunican, and I'm from San Diego, and this rocket has seen a few too many flights, so it's been pieced together a few times. Hopefully it'll still work.
2, 1.
What's that double burn, Jerry? Good. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Nice flight.
Echoed off the mountains real nice too.
Nice echo.
Ray's trying to determine the proper motor for this rocket. Since it has a camera on it, it poses special considerations. He has an I-65-10, but he's uncertain if that'll be the correct motor for this launch.
Yeah, I've flown it on an H-70 and the camera works fine, but if I put a H-90 in it, then I don't get any of the shots when it's under thrust.
Well, this will work as long as you use a short delay. You caught a mighty big one today.
Yeah, sure did. 5 pounds, 3 ounces.
Well,
You gotta ask yourself one thing. Do you feel lucky?
all I can say is don't use the long delay. Use the short delay, you'll have a
5 pounds,
chance.
4.
Try to launch it exactly straight up.
yeah.
Ray borrows an I-65-5 from Brian Tripp. Let's see what happens.
1, launch.
Good job.
All right.
All right. Where?
You guys see him?
I think you did good.
Yeah.
Well, you went perfect. Looks like 5 was probably better than 10, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, much better.
That was great.
A perfect flight. Take a guess why there's no parachute ejection on this flight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on, shoot. Go on.
It's not shooting. The ejection charge is plenty beefy.
Darn it.
Did you guess? There was no ejection charge, the parachute was wrapped too tightly, a hole in the rocket, or none of the above.
You know what? It looks like the tube blew out the side.
Yeah, because
it looks like the ejection charge blew open the side of the tube where it was already weakened.
If you selected answer number 3, you are correct. These aluminum tubes are Frank Cosden's reloadable engine casings. The gold color tube has been anodized. The other engines are in various stages of assembly. Hi, we're going to talk to you about motors today. My name is Kyle Shurge. I've been in the hobby since 1972.
Hi, I'm Tim Collins. I've been in the hobby for about 18 years.
Any type of motor, regardless of what you have, has a thrust designation, which is designated in Newton seconds. And Newton second is the force times time. That's what total impulse is. And you can see a pack of Estes engines right here, which are small engines. They would lift a small rocket like this one. Now this rocket doesn't look that small, but
that's a small rocket.
But it's very light, and it really can be lifted by an Estes motor. And this is a C65 engine. It's green. It's for single-stage rockets or for clustering rockets, which means you put a number of these engines together. A C engine is designated between 5 to 10 Newton seconds, total impulse.
With each letter designation, the total impulse doubles. So for instance, a B engine has twice as much total impulse as an A, and a C engine has 4 times as much impulse as an A, and the D has 8 times as much as an A,
right,
etc., etc.
Right. So it would take 2 of these C motors to equal this one D.
Right, to give you some idea of what we're talking about when we mention newtons, see, a pound is a unit of force. So if you have a 1 pound block sitting on top of the table, it exerts 1 pound of force on top of the table. And 1 pound is equivalent to 4.448 newtons. Or in other words, 1 newton is equal to 0.2248 pounds.
As we got older and bigger and got more money,
yep. Our motors got bigger.
Yes. We weren't satisfied with these C's or D's, which with that kind of impulse, you could lift maybe a rocket that weighs about a pound.
Right.
So we get into bigger engines, and this is the size of an H motor. And to give you an idea of what an H is about 160 to 320 Newton seconds of thrust. And an H motor, this is a reloadable, by the way, and this is just a casing for an H motor.
That could probably lift about a 5 pound rocket, would you say?
That'd be about right, yeah. Yeah. So then, as we got older and we got more money and we got bigger, we decided to buy bigger motors. Let's see. This this would be a J.
Right.
So casing for a J motor there. Yep. And this over here, stuff on there. That you're looking at would be L classification. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And to give you a reference, now these are all solid propelled motors, and the space shuttle boosters are solid propelled too. So to give you a reference here, an L motor is 2,560 to 5,120 Newton seconds. And the space shuttle engines have been calculated to be about in the Z classification, which it would take about 16,384 of these L motors to equal one space shuttle booster.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Next, we go to the rocket launches.
Great.
Lucerne Dry Lake is one of the most spectacular launch locations in the country. Depending on traffic conditions and the route taken, drive 2 hours or 4 hours northeast from Los Angeles. The dry lake bed is only 5 minutes from the small town of Lucerne. This little town seems to have everything: a great Chinese restaurant, an auto parts store, churches, and a large grocery store that even sells rocket engines. Winterfest is one of the 3 big launches of the year at Lucerne. Referred to some as the Nationals, this launch attracts as many as 500 people from California, Nevada, Arizona, and other states. Temperatures range from very comfortable during the day to bitter cold at night. More than one Rocketeer has said that he put his hands in the ice chest to warm them up. Lucerne Desert can have extremely high winds too, with 80 mile per hour and gusts of 100 miles per hour throughout the weekend of Winterfest 1989. The weather at this Winterfest launch was fine.
Pad number 11 has Marvin Lord's Red, White, and Black Sounder 3. Another, says home built, but Sierra. It's a 2-stage ISP H128 with a Sierra E504 electronic stager to an Aerotech G8013. Launching. Good job. Good show. You guys, somebody watch for that booster. There comes the booster right here.
Oh, heads up! Heads up!
It's not my blue band. Whose blue band is that?
Yeah, I hadn't heard from you. Just a hit up there. World's most videotaped dent.
Was there any kind of parachute for the booster?
No, what it was is tumble. I was supposed to eject it.
See, where your fins are back here, this is aerodynamically stable.
Right.
The RSO should have not let this fly.
Okay, what it had was it has another section that's attached to it that's supposed to separate off and then tumble.
See,
I need to find that other
If you had
piece.
cut this thing off right here, this would have tumbled. This is, see, you saw how the thing came in? It was
Right.
aerodynamic. The RSO shouldn't have let you fly this without a parachute.
Robert Hutchinson's van hasn't been repaired since this accident. Robert likes the scud damage and hasn't filed a claim with his insurance. Marvin Lord sent him a check to cover part of the cost for repairs. This was a rare occasion where a rocket damaged something at Lucerne. William Joe builds reliable rockets. Here's a rare occasion where he's flying an unfinished bird.
This is a Lock Precision Warlock kit, standard except for the fact that I've modified the mount from a 38 to 54, and I'm flying with a J285. And I've got some 300 pennies in the nose for ballast. So I'm glad to put it down. It's getting a little heavy.
3, 2, 1, launching. Lots of noise. There we go. Shoots out.
Only perfect.
Okay, William. Good show.
That was fun.
This is Jay's third attempt at launching his Phobos.
The last time, I tried it the first time with a single piece of thermalite. The second time I tried it, I put in a triple piece of thermalite. And both times the igniter lit, but the motor didn't go.
Right.
So it's like, for whatever reason, the propellant inside the motor doesn't want to ignite. So it came with an Aerotech igniter. We'll try it. See what the factory says.
Okay, give it a shot.
The core inside this motor is really big. It's about the size of a pencil. It's an ISP motor.
Uh-huh. What do you call this bird?
Phobos.
Phobos.
I name all mine after celestial objects or satellites of planets. Take 3. To say about 3's a charm, huh?
That's right.
So we'll find out one more time. Worst thing is, you know, my adrenaline's going 10,000 miles high. Pulse rate's about 360 the first 2 times I tried launching the damn thing. Now I gotta try it again. I'm gonna have a heart attack waiting for the damn thing to fly.
This is Jay Orr's Pink and White Phobos scratch built with ISP I-211. Pad number 11. 2, 1, launching. Well, we're getting some nice straight flights today. Shoots out. Looks like everything's in the same stream.
Big shoot. Oh, is that a rail?
Pad number 7. Looks like a recycle.
This is CCA material rocket. Call it Excalibur. It's 11 foot 4 inches in length, 8 inches diameter. It's being flown on a Vulcan K500 motor.
Come on, guys.
Electronic ejection donated by Rosemary Research, Brian Tripp. Brian Tripp painted it for me again. Thank the guy a million times. My mom cut out the lettering and the sword for the decal. And my dad suffered the whole time.
It's going to be on 14 instead of 15.
And thanks to CCA. This is basically a prototype model. Hopefully they'll think about making it into a kit.
You're using the engine's injection charge?
No.
No. Timer?
That's a backup.
The engine has a 15-second. I set the timer at 10. I didn't want to have to mess with adjusting the motor delay on it. Yeah, somebody can grab the cradle. Why don't somebody else carry the cradle?
How about parachutes?
It's got a 12-foot chute in it.
Just one?
Yeah. I didn't want to chance multiple chutes.
Did you run a computer simulation on this, Don?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Weighing at 25 pounds, which it doesn't, it probably weighs about 30, 32. It came up 37, almost 3,800 feet. Probably about 35. Okay, well this is arming the rocket.
What exactly are you arming, Don?
Electronic ejection timer donated by Mike Tripp, Rosemary Research. Rockets for the ejection timer on there. This will be the shorter of the 2 ejections, the primary ejection, and the motor is set at 15 for a backup, just because I didn't feel like having to put Mike through delay and shorten the delay on the Vulcan motor.
How are you doing first motion?
The first motion is activated by a roller rocker switch that as the rocket leaves the launch rod, the roller rocker switch is under the launch rod and then it is activated. In the event that it doesn't leave the rod, we won't stand out here and watch my bulkhead pop off.
Ready to rock and roll!
You gonna arm it?
Come back to me, Papa. Yeah, it's on. It's ready.
2, 1, launching.
Here we go.
Anytime. Now. Anytime. Come on. Too late. Sorry about that, Don. After all, Don, that's what everybody was out here waiting to see.
Good job, blowing the towel. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. That was too beautiful. Oh, too beautiful. Oh, great. How much time did you have you set for?
2 seconds after.
Okay, you guys out there on pad 6, you about ready? Okay, out on pad number 6. We have
A million pieces. It's fine. You can fix it. Check out the nose cone detonated. There's pieces of it way over there.
I don't think that motor performed like it was supposed to.
Sure didn't look like it. Sure didn't get much altitude for a K motor.
What was the weight on it?
Around 30 pounds.
30 pounds?
Want to hold the
Got the chute in there?
Hold the guts.
Both ejections failed, or just it was too long? It was too long. They got high enough in the air for it to be up there for 15 seconds.
Well, I tell you, for the job I did building it, it sure didn't take long to disassemble it.
Sometimes rocketeers predict the destiny of their own flights. Listen to what Gary Berg has to say about his rocket.
3 J220 White Lightnings. 270 pounds of thrust. 4.5 seconds. Computer readout right around 10,500 feet.
Sounds like it should be a great launch. Longest
Tried to launch it at Oktoberfest. It got too windy with 3 I-115s. Then bigger's better, so I put J's in it. If you're gonna kill it, overkill it.
Next launch will be on pad number 11. This is Gary Berg's Candy Burgundy Flameout. It's a LOC King Viper with 3, count them, 3 J220 White Lightnings. This is a heads-up flight. Smoke. Steady up, boy, steady up. Ejection. That was a nice paint job, Gary.
Beautiful. That was beautiful. What if Bondo will fix it?
Lots of Bondo and fiberglass will take care of that.
Gary Berg's rocket flew poorly because only 1 of 3 engines ignited. John Barrientos and John Sehan flew one of the largest motors ever at Lucerne.
John turned the nose cone, he cut the fins, and I put it all together.
And
It's kind of a group project.
And how long is it going to burn?
Got a 3-second burn, about 1,800 pounds of thrust for 3 seconds, and it's a N1500.
This is quite an the projected altitude. The projected altitude through the computer, anyways, came out to 48,000
Okay.
feet.
Well, what I'd like to know is
far,
the big popular question around here. Do you have a parachute for safety purposes?
Yeah, of course we do. We always have parachutes.
Of course.
We always.
We have 2 gigantic chutes.
This is quite an introduction for a couple rank amateurs.
Are we ready? Let's do it.
We have all the confidence in the
Go
world.
team!
Hold still.
Well, good luck and.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, this is John Barrientos and John Sehan. Okay, range is clear. We got an orange and black. This is a home built that he calls a Saddam suppository. Okay. Psych all's clear. We're going.
Heads up!
Heads up!
Yeah!
Nothing short of awesome.
That is definitely a crowd stopper. Good job. Watch for it. Heads up!
Okay, heads up on that bad boy. Should come down considerably far to the north.
John, very nice, buddy. Very stable, very stable. Shuttle isn't even picked up.
I know, right? Okay,
Bye-bye. It's gone.
Yeah, it'll be coming back here ere long. If it goes up, it's going to come down.
Where? Ballistic.
That was insane.
Damn scud. Yeah.
That was bad.
That was definitely damn scud. That's
bad. That thing flew straight, boy. That was great.
Nice little liftoff too.
Yeah, I was a little worried. I thought it was gonna poof out there on the pad, but
That's great. It's great.
built up thrust and off it went.
Held long enough for me
That
to
thing
zoom out.
burned great. Serious flame. Yeah.
Tough break, Marvin. Sorry to see that.
Too bad we couldn't see it come down though. That thing's gone.
It's got to be down by now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's on the other side of the mountain. Killer. That was hot.
That was great.
Yes, that was definitely cool.
Bill Morrow's beautiful e-ticket was approximately 12 feet long and 6 inches in diameter.
Gary here gave me the name for it. E-ticket being the best ride in the house. Hopefully it will be. This is the biggest project I've ever undertaken. We got probably 9 months of work in this. Getting a lot of butterflies. It's got a lot of motors in it. It's not underpowered by any means. The booster here's got a K900 booster in the middle from Aerotech, and 2 US rockets, I-110s, 2 Vulcan G80s, and 12 Estes D12s, with a whole bunch of thermalite and flash bulbs. If we can get them all to light, we'll have about 270 pounds of thrust. The rocket only weighs 50 pounds, so that's plenty.
Hey, Bill?
Yeah.
Why don't you stand up next to your rocket there?
Okay. The next stage has 1 J220 and 2 US rockets, I-150s. That's an awful lot of power too. So if we can get that to light, it should be a real good flight. It's staged electronically with Moose Engineering electronic device with a 1-second delay between separation. And also has a Moose Engineering ejection timer for backup ejection, just to make sure we get the nose off of it. That's about the scuttlebutt of it. We're getting ready to launch here in a few minutes.
Any idea how much money you put into this project?
It's close to $1,000 in motors. There's at least $300 in paint and primer. And the kit was $200 itself, and then all my time, whatever that's worth. So there's a lot invested here. Either it's going to be a great flight or it's going to be one big disaster. Yesterday we found it was unstable. We found the center of pressure was in front of the center of gravity. So we had to take the nose cone off, and I added 5 pounds of famous Lucerne dirt to it and seal it back up, and we moved the CG 18 inches doing that.
4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Good. Yeah, I did.
Oh, I know you guys. You guys
Second stage didn't go.
No, timers didn't work.
Yeah. It's all been paid.
Hey, you David?
Yes.
I am George Morgan. I'm at the launch ceremony.
Bill finds the booster section undamaged.
No, one didn't light. One I-110 didn't light.
Even though one I-110 engine in the booster didn't ignite, the rocket wouldn't have gone much higher with the extra thrust. Now Bill will examine what remains of the upper stage. Bill finds the second stage ignition problem. Power was not applied to the flash bulbs.
Either the acceleration of the rocket dislodged the batteries, or the batteries went dead overnight.
Sticks and dirt.
Yep.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's what they mean by that.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today.
Stick that in the ground for the cross.
Someone said to me yesterday, what was that ballast you're putting in the nose cone? I said, it's lucerne dirt. He said, you know, if you do that, it's going to go back where it came from.
It's returned.
Look at that, right back where it came from.
In the first discussion about solid propellant rocket engines, total impulse and motor classification was discussed. 2 A engines equal the total impulse of 1 B engine. 2 B engines equal the total impulse of 1 C engine, and so forth. The letter designation tells us an engine's total impulse classification. A C engine is rated at 5 to 10 Newton seconds. The number to the right of the total impulse classification is the average thrust of the engine, rounded to the nearest Newton. A C6 engine has an average thrust of 5.86 newtons. You can see the engine's thrust plotted over time. It's called a thrust time curve. The C6 motor has an initial spike, rising to 13 newtons, then it settles down to a constant thrust of almost 6 newtons. The C6 engine burns for 1.7 seconds. Compare the C6 engine to an H motor. It takes 32 C motors to equal the total impulse of 1 H motor. The thrust time curve for an H150 looks different than a C6 motor. The average thrust for an H150 is 150 newtons. The thrust of the H150 is quite flat over its burn, with a 300 newton spike at the beginning and a taper at the finish. An H150 has a shorter thrust time than a C6. It only burns for 1.2 seconds. In comparison, a C6 motor burns for 1.7 seconds. From the graph, we know the average thrust of the H150 is 150 newtons, and the thrust time is 1.2 seconds. We can calculate the total impulse of the motor by multiplying the two numbers together. The total impulse of an H150 is 180 newton seconds. An H motor's range is between 160 to 320 newton seconds. The H150 would be considered a low H since its total impulse is 180 newton seconds. Using the average thrust designation printed on the engine, the total impulse can be calculated if the thrust duration is known, or the burn time can be calculated if the total impulse is known. Frank Cosden, engine manufacturer, Chuck Mund, rocket scientist, and Kyle Shurge, filmmaker, held Einstein 1 weeks after Winterfest. Frank and Chuck tested new motor designs. Frank's motors performed well. Unfortunately, his rockets were not constructed as well as his motors.
This is like a reloadable G150 fiberglass motor casing, and there's a phenolic nozzle in it with an aluminum adapter, an aluminum nose cone, and it's in a minimum diameter G12 fiberglass casing with an aluminum nose cone. I'm trying to get rid of some old propellant here, so I hope it works. The propellant's up to standards. What else to say?
The delay time on this engine?
Delay time is probably about 10 to 12 seconds, so I hope that's not too long. But if the rocket hits the ground first, because of its construction, I don't think there'll be much damage.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Still gonna miss me?
Yeah, you're okay.
Face of the guilty shall be protected. According to Chuck, Chuck Munn, what happened there was that the nose cone was on too loose, so right after burnout there was drag separation because the drag on the rest of the rocket body was higher than the nose cone. So I pulled the nose cone off, the aluminum nose cone off, which came, ripped the shock cord. So the nose cone came down with the shock cord attached. And, the rocket, kept flying. And the ejection charge went off on the air, but it didn't do any good at that point. So at least the thing went like at least it was going like a bat out of hell. I mean, would have been like a really good flight. Kyle thought it was going to eject before it hit the ground, but he would have been wrong. Okay, well, try it again with next time we'll increase the friction between the rocket body and the nose cone. Core sample.
The fiberglass body tube is very strong, surviving the impact undamaged. A launch is held at Lucerne on the first Saturday of every month. Every Rocketeer brings rockets and a launch system. The Lucerne Prefect launch system is not used at the monthly launches. Generally, the rockets and crowds are smaller at the monthly launches than the Lucerne National launches. At the monthly launches, engine manufacturers test new motor designs, and Rocketeers have fun. Bill Morrow, Gary Berg, and Randy Berg love racing their Phoenix birds.
We're at it again. Yes, here at wonderful Lucerne. Dueling Phoenixes.
You just won't give up on these Phoenixes, will you?
Well, these damn Estes kids, we're always trying to trash them. That's just the way life is. You just try to shred them. So we got, let's see, what do we got? We got an H120, we got a G80 and a G42. And
which one's yours?
I thought you had the G80. G60, sorry. I got the G42, White Lightning. So we should have some nice smoke and a nice crisscross pattern.
Mine's got a suppository in it. It's preparation H.
Yeah,
H120.
These have a smoke in it?
Yeah.
And mine's black smoke, his is white. All you need now is color.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Fireworks. Hey, that looks cool.
Just like the Blue Angels.
Those were really stable.
One's down. That one's history.
No, mine's right there.
Right.
Yeah, we're having a Phoenix drag race. The rocket on the left's got a G42 in it. The rocket on the right's got an H240 in it. Plenty of weight in the nose cone.
And who is the maniac with the 240? Raise his hand. Yeah, Randy! Wow, man!
Well, it's an experimental launch site, so let's experiment.
Yeah, that's right, you're right.
He just wanted to build another Phoenix.
You're right, absolutely.
Sure?
So how much buckshot you got in the nose?
Wow, man!
Enough for about 40 quail.
He's got about a pound of shot in the nose cone.
Yeah, that's about a pound, maybe more. It's about that deep in the nose cone.
Since the Phoenix is a short, stubby rocket, nose weight is needed for stability.
I'm the other half of the Phoenix race here. I tried to get an I-150 in it, but we popped the nose cone off because it was too long. So I had to hold back with the G42. It was the only thing I could get to fit. I'm going to lose the race, but I think mine will stay together. Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Another launch, 2 Phoenix birds and Gary Berg's modified Lock 4. Here's Gary.
It's gonna shred.
And why is that?
H640. 240 pounds of thrust at like 0.49 seconds. It's gonna be like a bomb going off.
That sun's starting to beat on you now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Which one's mine?
This is over there to the left by the sun. We're at it again for the 4th time. It's dueling Phoenixes. Only down to 2 because everybody else is left. But it's calm, it's clear, and we're here. So let's fly.
Dueling Phoenixes.
Phoenixes,
Yeah.
G42s each.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. ignition.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good. Almost synced.
Could go down the lake together.
Uh-oh.
One.
Hey, Billy, you're gonna be Billy.
Goodbye.
Yeah!
Crowd pleaser.
That looks great.
Sort of remind me of them daredevils with their parachutes, man. Wait till the last moment.
That looked great.
That looked great. Just great. Just great.
Oh, everybody get this on camera.
Very pretty.
Good flight.
Good flight.
Very pretty.
Thanks. I enjoyed it too.
Some Rocketeers launched their birds with a piece of 18-gauge wire and a car battery. Not Ron Urensko. He spent months building the fabulous launch system he uses at the Lucerne monthly launches.
It's all constructed out of CMOS logic, and you got safety's on right now. It's kind of hard to see it. You got safety on. Turn the key. Safety off. There's your volume control. You can kind of see right there. Then when you want to test the continuity to the rocket, you press continuity and it will beep really fast and give you an audible and a visual. So then you're ready. Then you hit arm. You hit arm, then when you're ready to launch, you hit launch. There's a timer that counts down 5 seconds. 5 seconds, it will ignite the rocket.
Looks like that's the way you found it.
Ignites the rocket. The rocket now is launched off. It will reset back to a pulse and mute the tone that is given.
How about your frequency dip switch there?
Frequency dip switch, there's 49 different frequencies you can choose from. And just by flipping, different switch gives you.
I like that.
And if you flip dip switch 8, it adds a little spunk to it. And if you use it in that mode, and you launch it, after the steady tone that happens, when it resets back, it'll just reset back to a pulse instead of the oscillation. That means like the rocket's all clear, safely away. And this is something I designed by myself and put it all together.
On the screen is the complete code for a specific solid propellant rocket engine. Previously, portions of the solid rocket motor classification system have been discussed. It's been shown that the letter in the engine code is the engine's total impulse classification rated in Newton seconds. And the number right of the letter is the engine's average thrust in newtons. This rocket engine information segment concerns the number right of the dash, which is the engine's delay time measured in seconds. A rocket's flight can be dissected into segments, defined by the burning area of the engine. When ignition occurs, the engine's propellant surface starts burning and thrusting. The thrust rises above the rocket's weight, so the rocket accelerates from the launch pad. Depending on the type of motor, a delay charge starts burning during thrusting or immediately after the propellant is consumed. This delay charge produces tracking smoke, which makes the rocket easier to see as it rises. During the coast phase, the engine is not producing any thrust. Usually the coasting time is much greater than the thrust time. For example, a C-65 burns for 1.7 seconds, yet its delay time is 5 seconds. During the coast period, the rocket slows to zero velocity and arcs over. When the delay charge is completely burned, the engine produces a small explosion. This ejection charge pressurizes the rocket's interior, pushing out a parachute or activating some other recovery system. And a safe recovery. Here's Tim Collins and Kyle Shurge.
The Estes motors, which go from A's to D's, are color-coded, and the motors for single-stage rockets, that would be a rocket that would just go up in the air and probably have one engine or a couple engines, would be a green motor. Now, if you wanted to stage that rocket, well, the green engines have a delay and an ejection charge which pushes out the parachute.
Right. So you can recover your rocket safely instead of having it fall down and hurt people.
But say you wanted to stage a rocket, well, they got motors for that too, and they're red. Now the motors that are red don't have ejection charges or delay times. What they do is they'll ignite the motor above that now, so you can stage as many times as you want. And you can have a 2, 3 stage, 4 stage, 5 stage rocket if you want. But you got to make sure that the last engine is one with a delay time and ejection charge. Estes also makes purple motors, and the purple motors are, again, single stage or for stage rockets. They do have ejection charges, but they're long delay times.
Right.
So
they're generally for the upper stage of a 2-stage or more stage rocket.
Now when we get into the bigger motors here, after the D engines, there's new manufacturers that have come onto into the business, and they don't have color-coded engines the way Estes does. Yeah, you had an interesting rocket back at Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I sure did. That was a lot of fun. Boy, that's the fastest rocket I've ever seen take off. That was a 4-motor cluster with 4 Vulcan H750s, and that took off like a bat out of hell. That was great.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Held together.
I have no idea where that went, but it's going in a hurry.
I got smoke trail.
I see it too. That was the hardest accelerating rocket I have ever seen.
It's still going up.
I think I heard an ejection pop, but I got no sign of a chute.
It's out.
It's out? That was an awesome launch, Tim. That was really out of here.
The burn time of that motor, if I recall correctly, is about 0.3 seconds. So those motors probably burned out even before the rocket left the pack.
Pretty wild. Now, most of Tim's flight was coast time. The H750 thrusts for 0.3 of a second, and the engine's delay time was 15 seconds. Engines without ejection charges do not have a number after the dash. With this type of engine, the Rocketeer makes an ejection system. Common ejection systems use electronic timers or fuses. Summerfest is the second of 3 national Lucerne launches annually. The Lucerne Desert is very hot with low humidity on the second weekend of June. Nice weather, low winds, and a large launch site attract participants from California, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, Ohio, and Utah. Launch pads and signs are assembled Friday. Most launching occurs Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday morning, flyers pose for a group photograph with their favorite rocket. Don Gates flew one of the largest rockets at the Summerfest launch.
Hi, I'm Don Gates. This is a semi-scale Patriot, built to be approximately 1/2 scale. It's using 8-inch diameter body tubes and nose cone components purchased from California Consumer Aeronautics in San Diego. Flown it once before with the same motor I'm flying it now, which is a Aerotech ISP K550 reloadable motor. And I'm hoping for a real good flight. It flew really well last time. Last time, the delay on the ISP motor went off before I really wanted it to by probably 2 seconds. So rather than going with a 10-second delay, I put the 14-second delay in the reloadable motor, and I'm going to go with the electronic timer as the primary ejection, with the motor as being the secondary ejection. There are two ejection systems on the rocket. It's got an 8-foot California Consumer Aeronautics parachute, and I anticipated going somewhere around 2,500 feet. It's an awful heavy rocket. It weighs about 27 pounds or so. So with just a K, you're not going to get the optimum flight. It was really designed for an L motor, but a K will do a nice sport launch.
4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
The group examines a rare reloadable motor failure.
Out of the threads.
It appears that it stripped the threads in the case. No? It appears it stripped the threads in the case.
The threads are still there.
Yeah, but
how can you come out?
You can see the particles of...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. The casing threads were probably cut a little oversized.
Huh.
The threads are still
Brand new
on
motor.
This. The threads are still on there? This too.
Brand new motor.
Huh. How the hell could it come out of those threads?
The motor literally exploded.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, it just...
It blew the end casings out. Yeah, I mean...
Get a new one.
Now...
Get a free one.
I mean, it didn't burn the...
Yeah, this has got a real bad...
Yeah, that happened when it hit the ground, yeah. Yeah, I think what you're saying is correct. Somehow it just sheared off the threads.
Well, it's nice to know that when it does fail, that's the way it'll go.
Yeah.
Defective threads at the end caps caused the failure.
Phase 2 of the Patriot. This time we're not going to have a chuff. Flawless launch.
Is this another K engine?
Same motor as we tried yesterday, but new casing, new propellant.
Wind's calmed down back to nothing again.
Don't care about the wind. Rocket this size
eats right through.
Eats wind.
Just as long as it doesn't break wind.
Little rockets.
Ray, with all due respect, shut up. Not armed yet.
And Ray, you're going to launch your 8mm camera right beside this?
Yes.
Very good.
I'll be filming it hopefully from the air, as well as filming it with the slow motion camera on the pad.
I already have.
What size motor do you have in it?
It's a G45 fire starter.
Are you going to launch simultaneously or just a little ahead of them?
I'm hoping it'll go just a little ahead of the big one, so that the big one will follow it up if it goes straight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. We got it. Yeah, baby. Okay, heads up on this one. Okay, we got to shoot. Nice one. Very nice flight, guys. Very nice. Realistic.
Yes! Woo!
Clear on 10 and 11.
Greg Glass's rockets and attitude has changed since his childhood. Today he's flying a Sonic 2700 with an I-140 in the bottom stage and an I-40 in the top.
I've got a picture of me out here in 1973. There's 4 cars, and about 50 feet from the 4 cars there's a little sawhorse with 10 little 1/8-inch launch rods going up, and Jerry Irvine launched a 3-stage F, and it just smoked. It was hot. And I launched a Nike Smoke with an Enerjet E, went up 20 feet and just blew to smithereens. And I cried for a week. I was 10.
And this was back in 73?
That was the Claremont Rocket Club, 1973.
So this is your
18th year.
Fantastic.
18th year, and they still blow up. Boom!
And he still cries.
3, 2, 1, launch. Uh-oh. Oh. Sound like an old Volkswagen.
Oh, that was excellent. That was excellent. Get those flames. That's exactly what it's supposed to do right there. It's exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, if it hits the desert floor, it lets us see fire.
Go collect the pieces. I'm gonna go collect my son.
Collect yourself, Greg, please. Don't cry.
Better get that. Better find that motor in that one. That thing's definitely a dud.
Bruce Kelly's Magnum was one of the most impressive rockets of the day.
What do you got in there?
I've got a K1100 ISP reload. I've got 6H238s. They're all Blue Thunders. It'll burn for about 2,800 Newton seconds in about a second and a half.
Beautiful.
We're hoping she'll hold up.
This is plywood fins on that?
No, they're epoxy phenolic.
Epoxy.
This isn't a stock Magnum at all. Epoxy phenolic fins, fiberglass motor tubes.
Great. Great. Extra heavy duty.
Yes. I'll tell you what the object of this flight is. First of all, it's threefold. Number one, the parachute. It's an X-form. I've never done that before. Number two, it's 7 reloadable motors. That's never been done before. We are interested in seeing how well that they all ignite. And we're also trying to prove to people that with clones, reloadable prices coming down, clustering's affordable again.
Beautiful.
That's right.
That is the object of the flight.
You heard it live at Lucerne.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Yes. Very nice, Bruce. Very nice. First cluster of 7 reloadables, very nice. And we have an orange chute. Nice flight, Bruce. Welcome to high power.
I got goosebumps.
That was great.
Yeah! Way to go, Bruce!
Did Bruce change his pants?
Bill Morrow's Snark, powered by a plugged L600 motor, is missing the ejection charge to push out the parachute. Bill made an ejection system with a time length of thermalite fuse and a charge of black powder.
What did the computer say?
7,900 feet, 8-second burn, 13-second coast to apogee. So it's about 22 seconds. 21 seconds.
U.S. rockets.
Using thermalite for ejection and for igniting the motor.
20% off
2
of
flash
all
bulbs.
H80s.
But we'll find out. I'm going to go fill out a card.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Come on. Man, heads up, debris coming in. Heads up on the south end. Heads up. Watch his camper. Ooh. Got flame. Nice fireworks, Bill. Thank you.
That was awesome. I got rid of the motor.
An insufficient diameter nozzle forced the engine's internal pressure too high, resulting in an explosion. Take a guess why this Viper, powered by 3 Vulcan H100s, flies erratically.
Come on. Oh. Ouch. Heads up.
Did you guess? 1 of 3 motors lit, 2 of 3 motors lit, a hole in a rocket, or none of the above?
2. Yeah, 2 went. 2 went, 1 did not. Yes. Yes. Yep, 1's full. So we had 2 out of 3.
If you guessed answer number 2, 2 of 3 motors lit, you are correct. Oh my God. I got it. You just won a brand new car. wait a minute. I didn't get this one right, but I got the last one right, and I didn't win a brand new car. We've compiled tips from rocketry experts, making the hobby more enjoyable, safer, and less expensive. Trying to get the maximum altitude from your rocket? Here's an inexpensive idea, adding performance, allowing the rocket to slide through the air. Put Vaseline on your rocket to lower the drag. Get that Reynolds number, you know. Coefficient of friction down, huh? Grease that sucker up. It'll slip through the sky real slick. That's not going to be on the tape, is it?
Chuck's rocket tip number.
Yeah. The president's rocket tip, you know. Rub Vaseline on your rocket. Some people bring truckloads of tools and equipment to a rocket launch. Why? Here's a great tip enabling anyone to assemble a rocket at the launch with virtually no tools.
Well, when you don't have sandpaper.
I have emery cloth. You need emery cloth?
No, I got a nice road right here, a desert highway. This is low desert rocketry at its finest.
Low budget rocketry too.
On the contrary, it cost the town of Calexico millions of dollars to put this road here. Good to see your tax dollars at work.
My tax dollars.
Just look at the special technique here. Look at it.
Well, it's coming along. This is about 180 grit road right here. Need a deft touch.
Do they mark their
ham-fistedly do this, you know?
Do they mark
not for the inexperienced modeler.
Do they mark their roads so that you know exactly what grit you're using, or you just have to eyeball it?
Well, you need calibrated fingertips so you can feel the grit like that. A perfect fin.
You worked hard constructing and painting your rocket, perhaps years or decades. And the bird crashes on its first flight. Should you throw it away? No way! Let us suggest some uses for those thousands of dollars of wreckage.
I'm going to take the tail section, I'm going to make a lamp out of it. It's not hurt too bad. It's
That's a good idea.
It's about 30 inches high. The fins are all perfect. Right? And it's a hollow tube. You know, I could make a lamp out of that.
That's right.
It'd be
Yes,
pretty
you can.
attractive.
That's right.
Or how
So
about
that
a
way it
plant
won't-
holder?
Plant holder, that'll work.
Plant
That'll
holder
work,
will
right?
work.
Just
Exactly.
get some in there, ceramic. Yeah.
It won't seem like such a waste that way.
There you go. That's right. I'll have all that left out of 2 whole rockets, right?
I think
And you
it's
know
perfect.
what? If it's a good plant, it'll grow up and it'll like grow a new section of tube for you. You know?
Now that would be cool. We'll have to get some, you know, that's
right.
cheaper than buying them from Uncle Ron. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it's
you know?
definitely cheaper than buying it from Uncle Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have rocket engines gotten too expensive for you? You've dreamed of launching that big bird. You can't afford the motor, so you've lost interest in rocketry. Don't leave the hobby. Here's an alternative that costs far less than the least expensive reloadable.
I have a special motor in there, you know, it's 4 hybrid mice, and they're very hot and tired. I don't know if it's going to get off the pad.
What have you been feeding them?
Rocket fuel, what else?
Then they should have plenty of gas.
It's composite Swiss cheese. It's great stuff. It's not white like the other stuff, you know, it's kind of gray. The holes are a little smaller and it's crunchy, but they get into it after a while. It's when they have to go to the bathroom that's really rough.
I guess you must be using a Medusa-style nozzle on this since you're using 4 mice this time, right?
Yes, I'm using a Medusa nozzle simply because the tails fit through nicely, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise they curl around inside the body tube and it causes an imbalance when it takes off.
Yeah. Do you have to use more than one igniter when you're using this many mice?
Well, no, we have the lead mouse. Okay, you ignite one, and that terrifies the other 2, and then they ignite, you know. It's like spontaneous mouse combustion.
It's very good.
It's very unique.
Scientific.
Yeah, it's very scientific, very unique. Please don't tell the ASPCA, but you know how many mice I ran over on the way here?
Yeah.
This is for science.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, are you going to go to Jackrabbits next?
No, I'm going to go to jail next.
Have you been dodging falling rocket debris? Are you afraid it may get you? Here's a tip to ease your fears.
I heard you guys almost got hit yesterday with a motor coming in on camp.
Yeah, we had our hard hats on. We pretty much learned everything we know about rockets from our Rocket Man videos. Pretty informative.
The July Lucerne launch is held on the first Saturday of the month. Since it is closely sandwiched between Summerfest in June and the Black Rock launch in July, the July launch attracts few participants. Those present enjoyed a warm sunny day and one of the most memorable flights of the year. Estes Industries sold several Star Wars rockets, a TIE fighter, 2 X-Wing fighters, and a flying R2-D2 rocket. The largest and most impressive Star Wars rocket was the Maxi X-Wing fighter. Estes boasted that the Maxi X-Wing was the same size as the model used by the Star Wars special effects team. The Estes X-Wing flies on one D12-3 engine. A black Maxi X-Wing was flown at the July launch. The X-Wing fighter and its modeler were unforgettable.
Armed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh! Eject, Luke! Eject!
Luke! Luke! Use the force, Luke!
Yeah, that's right.
Oh!
Hey, no wonder they discontinued that model, Mike.
All that work for nothing! Ah! Ah!
Dad, calm down.
Dad!
Calm down. Here, you missed a piece.
Oh. Go get the trash bag. It's not that far of a walk. Hey, don't. At least we can use the parachutes.
Nice flight.
I had a funny feeling about this. Oh well. I figured if I got one flight out of it, I'd be lucky.
Well, you got one flight out of it.
That's about it. The glue I used would not bond to this plastic.
What kind of glue were you using?
I don't know, but yeah, it did. It just wouldn't vulcanize to the plastic. So I wasn't sure it was going to hold up, and it didn't. Oh well.
That just ripped them wings right off.
Yeah, it did.
Here you go, Barry. Bye. Save your shoots.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just rip it out.
They're still good. Well, I'll cut it so I get as much launch
cord off of it as possible.
Oh well. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
That glue that he sold me didn't bond either. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Look at that.
Yeah.
It bonded.
It looked good at first.
Well, don't pull that out. Oh, you'll rip the shock cord. Well, that tube's hot. Space junk.
Space junk.
Get all the space junk. Okay, that's history.
Okay, I hope mine doesn't do
Thanks for the good flight.
Yeah, right.
Black Rock Desert is the country's ultimate launch site. Drive 12 hours north from Los Angeles to the dry lake. You'll arrive in Reno, Nevada after 10 hours driving. Gerlach, the tiny town bordering Black Rock Desert, is 2 hours north of Reno. Black Rock Desert is approximately 10 miles wide by 60 miles long, slightly larger than Rhode Island. Because the ground is hard and flat, the site was chosen to set land speed records over 600 miles per hour during the mid-1980s. The Black Rock 3 launch was organized by the California Tripoli Prefect Aeropac. The beautiful launch system shown during Rocketman 4's beginning was used for the first time at this launch. Randall Redd's tank was one of the most unusual flying machines at Black Rock 3. The tank is boosted skyward by an H-65 engine, then a parachute shoots from the cannon for a safe recovery. Randall holds the tank while Bill Lewis describes the concept.
Well, you know, what we'll do is if this works out, next time we get in a big war in the Middle East, we'll just drop the tanks and they'll come down with retro rockets, and we don't have to worry. Right, you can drop them right on the desert, you know, right there at Saddam would just love that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, tank. Go to show you, it was meant to stay on the ground.
What kind of damage do we have here?
We got a crunched turret and a torn side, but not too bad.
This is repairable type damage.
We can fix it.
Dave Booker's Little Joe is a 1/13th scale replica of the launch vehicle used to test the Apollo capsule escape system. Dave's model is loaded with a K900 engine.
It has big balsa fins. Balsa was just the wood I decided to use that go into the that are doweled into the body. The body's made of almost 12-inch chocolate tubing.
There you go.
Tubing from Ghirardelli chocolate barrels, I guess you'd say. 2.5 of them joined. And it has corrugated cardboard skin that I made. The corrugations are, there's 120 of them like they're supposed to be. And
You know what?
it's got these phenolic launch lugs which are screwed into the body.
Well, let's go fly rockets real fast.
It's got two what look like about 40 or 50 foot 1-inch shock cords, and then one for here. The tower is made of dowels, a couple of diameters.
What kind of dowel?
Wooden dowels, epoxy together, but that wouldn't be strong enough, so there's an aluminum bar that's drilled into the command module capsule and into the escape motor base, which provides strength so that it won't rip off in flight, which I know it would do. And the cones are turned out of redwood.
We're going to do a little experiment. John?
And
not possibly lose.
I can screw a screw through with the steel, with the lead plate for the weight.
So how close to scale is this rocket?
The rocket is precise scale. It's only missing some details. And some finish things that aren't right. Like there's miniature longerons on the bottom, and there's wiring bypass plates that go down these tunnels and around these rings, and all the details just made out of cardboard. I made it in a hurry so that I could get it out here and fly it. I was going to make it out of aluminum, which would be pretty close to scale. There's other details like the nozzles are missing here. This flare is a little bit steeper than it should be. It was a mistake when I was turning it, but I didn't have time to change it. So I put it together, and here we have it. And, this is made out of this cone is just made out of a cone-shaped piece of cardboard, poster board, with a plywood ring.
That's where it gets all the strength, I guess, is the plywood ring.
Well, the plywood ring gives it support at the base. And
And how does it get its strength? Is there a bunch of epoxy glue?
Well, this doesn't have a lot of strength right here, and it flexes pretty easily, but I think it'll be okay in flight.
So what's the scale ratio on this one? From this
I haven't. It's the real one. This is the second round that they made. The real one's approximately 87 feet tall, and this one is 6.5 feet.
On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A little Joe, really wet.
Heads up. Tom, heads up.
Yeah, heads up down on the range. We've got an incoming body.
Oh.
Just cut it right there and you're off and running here.
Didn't strip any fins or any of the anticipated failures.
Was to strip the chute?
No, the chute was just in too tight.
Dave Booker's rocket crashed because the tightly packed parachute didn't eject from the rocket. LDRS is Tripoli's national launch held for the first time at Black Rock, Nevada. LDRS relocated since rockets and engines increased in size during the past 10 years. Let's do rockets safely is Tripoli's slogan. Russ Dunton prepares his Psychodelic, an extended-length Top Gun rocket powered with a K1100 engine. For extra strength, he replaced the kit's plywood fins with fiberglass and reinforced the motor tubes with wooden dowels. He didn't like the kit's shortness, so he lengthened it by 17 inches.
How'd you get the idea for that paint?
Well, I don't know. I just felt like doing something different compared to all the other paint jobs.
A long time ago in a
Yeah,
galaxy
it's
far,
been
far
a
away.
year ago that I built it, and I've been a couple launches with it, and haven't been able to fly it due to either bad weather or something else. So I'm gonna let her rip this time.
So this is the maiden flight then?
Yeah.
All right.
We got a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straight up. It looks like it just popped the chute. There we go. Yeah. Looking good. Well, we may have to wait a couple seconds for it to drift out of the way. Big target. Good flight. That's just about the right motor for that.
Nice flight.
OD on LSD or something? Yeah, I had a few too many beers.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Robert Hutchinson's scratch-built Destiny weighed 25 pounds without engines. A K550 White Lightning engine boosts it, and an I-211 powers the second stage. Each stage's motors eject parachutes for soft recovery. Robert describes the flight plan.
What it does is the first stage is fired at an exact moment on another timer, which is a comparator that you have over here at the launch site. When the countdown timer that's inside the rocket gets to plus 6 seconds in flight, it fires a black powder charge that separates the two stages. It's between the two stages. When they start to come apart this way, this motor will still be on its delay charge. It'll still be coasting. And the second stage will airlight because there's a plug between the two of them holding a circuit open. When the first stage falls away about 6 inches, it'll fire the second stage. Second stage should continue on. And then the first stage will deploy its own parachute from its own ejection charge in the motor. And then the second stage is deploy its parachute from its ejection charge.
So there's no timer on the second stage. It's just
No.
the separation itself.
Right. The separation is the critical time point, and it happens during flight. And that's why if I set the clock in there for 2 minutes and 6 seconds, I have another clock I set for 2 minutes, and at exactly 0 seconds on my clock, it'll be exactly 6 seconds still running on this clock.
Okay, that fires off this black powder charge.
Exactly.
So if they don't separate,
If they don't separate,
then the top stage won't light, right?
right. Or if they, well, I put a healthy ejection charge. Even if they don't separate, they'll be forced apart by the first stage's own ejection charge, so it's like a double safety. It'll at least ensure that the second stage motor lights. Hopefully it'll be going straight.
You have to arm it right here.
It'll be exciting.
Okay.
But that first stage got parachute and everything in there, right?
Yes. First stage has a parachute in it, and the second stage has a parachute in it.
Okay.
Robert's staging timer begins counting from 2 minutes and 6 seconds. He launches the rocket after 2 minutes has elapsed, and staging occurs 6 seconds after launch.
Okay, we're at 20 seconds.
T-minus 20. We're loading up the system here.
15 seconds.
Okay, system is hot. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Second stage ignition! We lost the booster, but it's going. Okay, now let's watch out for these fins. These are big fins here, folks.
These fins weigh a couple of pounds each.
Hey, we got ejection up there. Everybody watching what's going on. Lots of stuff going down. I think it's his chute, white chute.
Yeah.
On the way! Okay, what's the verdict on the rocket?
There it is. Just right straight above us. I see it. Yeah, there it is. Here comes the fins. Keep your eye on the rocket.
Okay, is the rocket in one piece, the second stage?
It is. There's no parachute attached to it.
Aerodynamic forces stripped the booster's plywood fins at the fin tube joint. The upper stage separated, descended without parachutes, and survived undamaged. Dave Bulldog's Nike Hercules was an impressive two-stage rocket. On the rocket's first motion, a pull pin starts an electronic timer, controlling staging in 6 seconds, and booster parachute deployment in 8 seconds. The engine's ejection charge deploys an upper stage parachute. The rocket consists of cardboard tube, plywood fins, and a 25-pound pine wood nose cone.
Well, I tried to fly it at LDRS-8 and I screwed up and it didn't get on the pad. I'm back. And so it's been 3 years I've been working on it.
Wow, excellent project.
Now kids, don't do this at home. Never put fins on the front of a rocket.
The 25-pound pine wood nose cone moved the center of gravity forward, compensating for instability caused by the excessive forward fins.
It's a home-built quarter-scale Nike Hercules, 10 feet tall, 8-inch booster, 7.5-inch upper stage. The booster has got 4 motors. It's got 2 J700s. It's got 2 K400 fire starters. The upper stage has got a Vulcan K500. Total is 9,000 Newton seconds.
Down there at the end! Get up! Get up!
Everyone up.
Okay, and the flight purpose, we got Sport and Electronics R&R. Okay, is everybody up?
Range is clear.
Okay, range is clear. We're gonna let this bad boy go. Okay.
Good luck, David!
All right, we're gonna go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Okay, all eyes on this rocket.
Oh, shit.
Now what it's, oh. Right, we got,
Oh, it came.
all right, let's watch out now. Is it second stage? Okay, major crashola.
It found a target.
Doggone it. Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
Several problems are responsible for the poor flight. Electronic staging and parachute deployment failed. 1 J motor in the booster exploded, and misignition of engines caused roll. Dave's Nike Hercules was a miniature scale model. Conversely, Doug Kelly's Strike Fighter is an upscale of a smaller Estes rocket.
This is an upscale of an Estes Strike Fighter. I call it Strike Fighter 3.1. It's 3.1 times larger. It's got an I-500 in it, a 6-foot diameter hemispherical chute, red, white, and blue. So if it comes out, it'll look pretty. And the only thing it's store-bought on is the body tube. And it's my first attempt at an upscale, so I'm kind of worried. We'll see what happens.
Very, very nice.
1. Heads up, coming down. Yes!
Almost got it.
Nice shoot!
Beautiful.
Hey, booster weight. You're making it up with those booster weights.
Powerful aerodynamic forces split a plywood fin. The remaining rocket landed softly. Tim Collins' monocopter is an unusual rocket with engines on one side and a wing on the other. Instead of thrusting downward, the engines thrust outward, tangent to the circle that the helicopter blade makes as it rotates. A launch rod fits in the monocopter's center. At launch, the rocket circles the rod until it acquires enough velocity for the wing to provide lift.
Now you've got 3 engines in there.
Right. I have a Aerotech G15 and 2 Vulcan F12 Smoky Sams.
Cool. They can ignite different times?
Yeah. Yep. Hopefully.
What's going to go first?
The G15.
Then following?
And then the F12s.
Yeah.
One at a time.
This last one was 20, so it's going to be 19. Way down. Should be in order here. That's it right now. And they launched the monocopter thing. It was bizarre. It started to take off and then some sort of structural failure.
Well, I think the monocopter was pretty heavy. I think it was too heavy.
Let me do a little Indian gill here.
Great. I used a lot of epoxy and used fiberglass motor mount tubes, and those right there are pretty heavy, plus the 3 motors, and then I had to use a counterweight. So I think the combination of all the weight just prevented it from getting enough lift off.
Oktoberfest is the year's 3rd large Lucerne launch, attracting participants from California, Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada. October's first Saturday determines launch dates, with event preparation on Friday, allowing launching Saturday and Sunday. Previous Oktoberfest hot spells created conditions comparable to Summerfest. This Oktoberfest was cooler and windier. Paul Krieger named rockets after his sons Matt and Chad. Twice he's flown the Chad Rock successfully at Black Rock Desert. Today's less powerful flight will be spectacular.
What's this?
Don't touch anything, Chad. Or I'll have to launch you with this rocket, okay?
You think you'd fit in that payload section?
We'll make a fit.
The Chad Rock, homemade.
At 13 and 14 level.
We've got 1 K550 and 2 H180s by ISP. Heads up on this one, everybody. All eyes on pad 11. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Yeah, Paul. Paul, it did look good in its own way, Paul. In its own way, it looked good, buddy.
If the camera was running, this was great.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's on fire.
Kyle's got that one for you, Paul, in case you need it. All right, we're running out there.
That works better? You like to put that?
Yeah. Oh, that thing was
Oh, it is on fire.
Hey, Bob Baker.
I don't know anybody. Fire extinguisher.
We need that extinguisher, buddy.
Let's get our extinguisher.
Oh, I was waiting to let it
In order to keep things going,
Run! Go! 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 Go!
Save the frame reducer.
Oh, I didn't have my video camera.
Really, exactly.
Somebody did good.
Get the spray bottles, get the cameras. Ooh, it's looking ugly now.
The tracking crew? Are the tracking crews ready?
All right.
Pad 12.
How about a round of applause for our fire department? All right? Yeah!
An engine failure caused the disaster. Fortunately, Paul did not launch his son, Chad. One of the most exciting payloads is a Super 8mm movie camera. Ray Dunnigan generously provided 3 films included on Rocketman 4. The first launch will be Ray Dunnigan's rocket powered by an H-125 Firestarter engine at Coyote Wells, February 2nd, 1991. Afterwards, Ray's 2 piggybacked rockets were flown at Lucerne's Oktoberfest, 1991.
Years ago when I was in junior high, I grew up with the space program and always had an interest in space and rockets and things of that nature. And then one day on the evening news, they had a report on model rocketry, and they showed some film of a rocket launch, and then they told about something called a Cinerock, which was it was a camera, a Super 8 movie camera specifically made for model rockets by Estes, and they showed footage from that, and it looked like something from NASA, and I was just blown away. You know, I'd never even heard of model rocketry before that, so it was something completely new to me, and the idea of being able to see from the rocket what it would be like if you were riding the rocket, that was what really turned me on to it. It's sort of a vicarious thrill. You know, I knew that I'd never get to be an astronaut. I'd never get to ride a real rocket, but I knew I could see that with a camera on a rocket, that was the next best thing. You could actually see the action from the rocket's point of view, and that was what planted the seed. Yeah. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have dime one. I couldn't afford to buy a model rocket or a model rocket motor or anything of that nature at the time. And so years later, when I did have the money, went to get involved in model rocketry and found out they didn't make the cameras anymore, which was a major bummer. I was sorely disappointed with Estes for that, but that's the way it goes. About the time that I discovered high-powered rocketry, it was shortly after that that I discovered the Bentley. And the Bentley Super 8 camera is a small, lightweight, all-plastic camera that's made as a promotional giveaway. They're not sold in stores. They never have been and probably never will be. They're strictly a thing that is used, for instance, if you go to listen to a sales pitch for a timeshare condo or something like that, they give you this cheap camera, and and that's your prize for coming. Or if you car or something like that. So they're fairly simple and inexpensive type camera, and because people get them for free, and this was at a time when video was really hitting its stride and people were losing interest in Super 8 anyway, most people never use them. They either sell them at a garage sale or the swap meet, or they give them to thrift stores or something. Yeah. And I started hitting up thrift stores and finding them at thrift stores, and I could get them really cheap at a thrift store, anywhere from $2 to $15. This little metal plate here that says where the on and off sign is, you have to take a sharp knife or something and pry that up, and then take some pliers and pull it off, because there's a screw there and there's a screw there underneath that metal plate. If you don't take those out, you'll never get the thing apart. There's also they've also got a couple of screws in the battery compartment. You got to take those out. And there's 3 screws in here. Here, here, and there. You remove those. And then Once this part comes off, then there's some more screws in here and in here that have to be removed to get the thing completely disassembled.
And then after that?
Then you can start cutting it down. Now, I got mine from thrift stores and stuff, but it takes a lot of searching to find them, you know, and you have to be persistent. But also, I don't even know if they're available in all parts of the country. They may not be, but you can get this model of the Bentley from CCA, California Consumer Aeronautics, and they sell them already stripped down and cut down.
What speed do you run the film at?
That's a good question. What I do is the Bentleys are designed to run on 4.5 volts. I run them on 9. In the rockets, I run them on 9 volts, and that just about doubles the speed of the camera, so that when you play it back, you get a little bit of a slow motion effect, and slows down the action. You know, I mean, let's face it, with a G or even an H motor, the whole flight only from launch to apogee is only a few seconds, and that's to me the most important part of the flight, visually speaking, because it's the most interesting. So you want to slow that down as much as possible, and running the camera on 9 volts works real well. I've had virtually zero problems with that. The only thing I've had to do is I've had to put extra lubricant on the drive shaft of the camera at the bearing points, because it's just plastic and the bearings are just plastic, and the little bit of lubricant they put on it isn't enough. If the camera's running fast like that, it can melt the bearing points, and that shaft will move out of alignment, and then your camera stops running. Trouble is, you think it's running because you hear the motor going in there, so you waste a flight.
Do you have any tips for people that want to fly movie cameras and rockets?
The first thing I would say is make sure you got the polarity right on your camera. I had a couple of times in the beginning when I got the polarity crossed, because the leads that are on the camera are both the same color.
Okay.
So it's easy, you know, if you're not paying close attention, it's easy to get the two crossed, and you end up running your camera backwards and you don't get any film. You just waste a flight. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is fiberglass fins. I love fiberglass fins. I wouldn't use anything else.
Ray Dunican will produce a camera rocket video called In Flight, the best of Project Rocket film. The video will include plenty of in-flight movies edited from 100 films. Project Rocket film will appeal to rocketeers, outdoorsmen, and nature lovers, since Ray flies his rockets with many types of motors throughout the southwest United States. He loves launching his cameras near ghost towns and old mining camps. Abandoned buildings give the viewer a sense of scale from high altitudes. His four-wheel drive vehicle transports him into rugged areas. He's launched at the Badlands, Acumba Mountains, and Rainbow Canyon. The Project Rocket film video is scheduled for sale October 1992. For more information, please write to Ray at his address listed at the end of Rocketman 4. Rocketman 5 begins with Winterfest 1992. Here's a glimpse.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launching.
Woo! No, but still.
Get the crowd a scare. A really bad spot.
Uh-oh.
Come on!
Come on!
Heads up, folks.
Heads up!
On your feet!
Coming right down in here, folks. That's a hard landing.
God, that's too bad.
Rocketman 4 has shown many disasters. In reality, few rockets crash. Rocketry has an excellent safety record.